I'm tired of my HDzero goggles looking something like this. So today we're going to be talking about how we can make them look like this. If you're gonna spend $600 on a pair of FPV goggles, I would personally say it's worth investing 20 bucks and trying to protect them from scratch and cuts and dings like I have on my personal HDzero goggles. On all the MacBooks I've ever owned, I've put a skin on them and it has saved me time and time again from hard scratches and things like that. And if you ever want to change the design, it's super easy to just take it off, put on a new one, and you're on your way with a fresh new look. In today's video, Armando is gonna give us his tips and tricks on how to put this skin on as fast and good as possible. Let's get into the tutorial and hope you guys enjoy.
How's it going? We're going to be installing an HDzero goggle skin. Evan went ahead and picked this orange and teal camo, but we're going to be installing them on his beat up dirty goggles. So one of the first things I'd recommend is if you have some alcohol and a paper towel, just go ahead and wipe those. And before you start, if you don't have any fingernails, a good tip is to grab something sharp, sort of like some tweezers or a razor blade, just so you can get under the sticker and pick it up easier. And then once we start cleaning these goggles, we're gonna be ready to go.
Ooh, will the alcohol take off the HDzero logo?
Oh. It's not taking it off.
Okay, nice.
But any scratches, you don't really need to worry about. The skin itself has these little channels on the bottom that let air bubbles out. All we're really worried about is just a bunch of dirt on there that'll keep it from sticking really well. What do you do with these goggles?
I use them. That's what happens when you use stuff.
My goggles used to be really dirty, but it's because I'd set up a track beforehand and have mud all over my hands from rebar. One question we did get the other day is if it would work with the antennas that slide on, like if these rails are obstructed at all, but I made sure to leave this free so that you could still slide your antennas on. But you do cover up a lot of the graphics. Do you think the patch antennas are worth having on the goggles?
I think after FAI, a lot of people are unsure of what antennas are the best, it seems. I've always just been happy with 4 ohms though.
Pull up the parts you're not going to be using and you can just put that somewhere where you're going to be tossing it. First part I'm going to be using is this top right piece. So we split it into 3 pieces because originally it was one big piece, but it became so cumbersome whenever you were trying to put it together that you probably would have just thrown it in the trash. And another thing to note is whenever you're kind of pulling on stuff, just make sure you're not stretching any of the thin parts. Like if it's not coming easily, just slow down and kind of try to come at it from another direction. Whenever you're installing this side and this side, the reference points you're going to be looking for are keeping it straight with this edge and then aiming for this corner on the rail with this inner corner on the graphic. And then it's easy to kind of massage it down. If you have something flat, like you can use a credit card, your driver's license, or one of these little, what would you even call this?
Squeegee?
A squeegee.
That looks nice. Heck yeah.
And then if you do end up with any parts that seem almost too long or they're like not working, and we'll probably get to one of those points in this video, a heat gun or a hair dryer is your friend because this will contract under heat. Which I guess if you have a lighter too, like, and you keep it at a distance, you can heat it up. But what you do is you'll heat it up and then you'll massage it the way you want it to go, but not with too much pressure, because like you can stretch the laminate layer on top of the vinyl, but if you like just gently massage things, it's really easy to get them to line up the way.
So the heat makes it bigger or smaller?
Smaller, but you can stretch it too. Like it's very pliable.
I see what you mean.
But it'll instantly react by shrinking. This is definitely one of the hardest parts. The easiest part is probably getting this whole front on because you have a lot more to reference. I'm just always working out because once you have it lined up, it should be easy to get everything lined up. But if you start working from 2 directions, you can end up with a bump, and it's hard to get a bump out. So if you work away from where you started, it's really easy to get it laid down. There's that one. And then this is probably the part that needs the most pointers, because just to explain what I'm gonna do before I do it, is that I'm gonna peel up half of this, and then I'm gonna take all of the, I guess, backing and then fold it away so that this side stays on the backing, and then I have this sticky side just so I'm not trying to handle like all of this sticker, because the worst thing that can happen is it folds onto itself and it gets stuck to itself, because then when you try to pull it away from itself, it's gonna stretch. But we do have a little cover for the door for that expansion module. And if you get that off first, it's really easy to get on. Do you have your, no, you don't even have your
I don't have an expansion module.
Yep, okay, so we don't need that for Evan's goggles, but that is there. And one reason I like to take all of these little pieces out is just in case it kind of pulls up with it and then it inevitably sticks to itself. That's one thing you can try to avoid by getting it off early. But here's your first thin part that you do not want to stretch. That'll be this part. And then it also gets thin over here. But if you can get these up being gentle, the rest is kind of easy. And we're gonna let gravity be your friend. You're gonna go past the middle point because that nose little bump is what I call it, is what we're gonna use to reference. Because if you get that lined up, the rest of it lines up very nice.
So you're trying to line up the nose?
Yeah, you just get that bump. So there's like the corners and then there's two straights, and if you get those lined up, the rest goes on easy. And then you just gotta be careful with it and not stretch it, and then work away from the center again. The thing you want to watch for here is that this is going to stay above this line. And then the rest is sort of massaging out these little folds that go over the top. But as you can see, the rail doesn't get covered at all. And then if you notice that any of the graphics stayed on and it didn't rip out whenever you were trying to pull it, that point didn't come out.
Yeah.
That might cause some issues there, so then we'll end up getting that out after. Yeah, you just massage it down, and then you pull the rest off. And this is where I usually forget not to stretch it, because it's really easy to stretch these two areas, but they do shrink whenever you hit heat on it, so I usually end up on that part having to rely on the heat gun. Was this your favorite design?
I thought it looks pretty cool. Definitely stands out the most.
These are your goggles. So this is the part I usually have to add heat, because once I get these buttons lined up and I stretched a little bit whenever I was pulling it this way to get it off the backing, I did end up stretching because you can see there's a bulge there. But you'll watch it shrink as I hit it. You see how it's shrinking? It's so hot. I'm gonna melt something over there.
Wow, that worked really good.
Yeah. You just want to make sure you push it down. You don't try to like smear it either direction. But
That looks pretty beautiful. Put it in the light. Put it in the light. That's pretty nice. I like that. Okay, so as a summary, the biggest tips: don't stretch it. Be very careful when taking it off. Lining this part up with this and then laying it down nicely. Doing the little half and half thing and starting over here, being very careful about these thin parts, and then using the heat gun to shrink it whenever you need to, specifically around the buttons, it seemed. Any other tips?
Yeah, just work slowly, and because there's no reason to rush it. If you've ever done a skin on anything else, you know that it can be frustrating if you're trying to get it perfect and you've never done it before. But luckily, this takes the whole air bubble thing out of the process, because usually that's one of the most frustrating things. Like, especially if you're putting like a screen protector on or something.
Gosh, tell me about
that. Yeah, you feel like you wasted money. But so yeah, it's easy to get air bubbles out of this because you look at the back of the skin, there's air channels that make it really easy to get bubbles out.
As long as you push from the center out.
Yeah, and don't use anything like sharp to try to massage bubbles out. Like, you can just do it with your fingers, and then that'll keep your skin looking optimal.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy your goggle scans. If you have any ideas, just send them our way and we can make basically anything happen. Sweet.
Let us know what you guys think about this. What different designs are you most interested in? Links to all of this in the description below for you to check out your favorites. One cool thing is we are making them in-house, which we're super excited about, and we hope to see cool goggle skins on people all over the track here soon. See you guys around. Bye.